Hello and welcome to this video. There are three basic data types in Python. We have the numbers data type. This basically includes integers, which are known as int, and floating point numbers, which are known as float. An integer basically is a whole number, and a floating point number is basically numbers that includes decimals. We also have the string data type, which basically is a text or a sequence of characters. It's also referred to as str. And then we have the Boolean data type, which is a true or false value, is also known as the bool. You can get the data type of any object by using the type function in Python. So basically you pass in a value in between the parentheses, and this type function will return the type of data type. So let's create a new notebook and experiment with some data types. So I'm going to create a new notebook. So I'll come here, say new, click on Python 3, and I will give the notebook a name, and I'm going to call it Python data types. So we're going to experiment with the basic data types in Python. I'm going to use the type function to enable us detect the type of data type it is. So I am going to start with an integer, which is a whole number. So I'll do the type command, and inside this type function I'm going to pass in a value which is 80. So 80 is a whole number. If I click on this run command, you see here it has returned that this type of data is an integer. So an integer is a whole number. It can also include negative numbers. So if I type in, I do a type, and inside that type function, if I pass in negative 30 and run, it also returns an integer because they can contain both positive and negative values. So let's try and get a data type that is a floating point. A float is basically a number that includes decimals. So we'll do type, and inside this function, let's do 28.5 and run this cell. You can see it has returned a float. You can also have a negative float value as well. So if I do type, and in between I do negative 1.0 and do a run, it also returns a float. Next, let's try and get a string data type. So we'll do a type. Remember, with a string, you always have to enclose the values in quotes. So I'm just going to say hello, and I do a run. You can see here it has returned that this is a string data type, which is specified by the word str. Next, let's do a Boolean data type. So I'm going to do a type, and inside this type function, I'm going to say 7 is greater than 6, and this should return a bool value, which means it is true. I'll click run. You can see it's returned a bool. If I do it the other way, I do a type and say 7 is less than 6, it will also return a bool value because 7 is not less than 6, so it will be a false value, which would be a bool. So if I click run, you can see here it has returned a bool value. Data types are a very important concept in Python. So when you have to store data in variables, it's good to know the type of data type you are storing. So that is it for this video on basic Python data types. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.